Hello and welcome to another episode of the Uncommon Energy Podcast. On this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the return of Mega Evolution Pokemon to the Pokemon TCG. They do give up three prize cards. We will talk about some other new cards that got revealed recently. We will, of course, have guess Oh gosh. Guess that flavor text, everyone's favorite segment of the podcast. And then we're going to wrap up this week's episode by talking about this weekend's Vancouver Regional Championships. I'll be at the event working, Azul will be at the event playing. We're very excited about it. And it's going to be an interesting one because it is the first tournament after EUIC. So we're going to talk about the results from EUIC, how they will affect what people do this weekend in Vancouver, what our thoughts and opinions on all of that are. And then, of course, we will continue the fun over on our bonus episode, which takes place weekly and is exclusive to our YouTube channel members and Spotify subscribers. My name is Chip Ritchie, and I'm joined here, as always, by my friend and co-host, Azul GG. What's up, buddy? How we doing? How has your week been?
It's been okay, Chip. Haven't gotten back into streaming since UIC. And then on Monday, yesterday, when we're recording this, had to go in for some surgery, dental surgery. When I like, it's funny because like hearing it called surgery is kind of like I feel like when people hear the word surgery, they expect like to be a bigger deal. But yeah, just dental surgery is not the same thing. Well, I guess some could be, but mine was definitely nothing like crazy scary or anything like
You
that.
weren't laying out on a table with like your abdomen cut
No.
open, like
But
bro,
yeah,
you can't
so
even smile. Holy cow. I'm
yeah, I know. And then some people on YouTube might be able to tell the right side of my face is quite a bit puffier, definitely some swelling from the but honestly, it's been, like, fine. They gave me some pretty powerful ibuprofen, and a couple other things to take.
dude, you just
Um
like you were laughing just then and it looked like you like dude, look at it.
It does hurt a little bit to laugh.
I'm sorry, but it's like
It doesn't hurt that bad. It's, like, more just, like, stiff.
yeah,
Um, but honestly, it's really not that bad. I thought it would be worse than when I got my wisdom teeth pulled, but this has been better, considerably better than when I had my wisdom teeth pulled, for sure. Although maybe it's just kind of just like getting older, is part of that as well. So, but it was kind of intense because I was awake the whole time while they were getting in there.
no
Um,
fun.
yeah, I had what is it called? Sinus lift is what it was called to set up. I had like a tooth pulled in the back of my mouth a while ago. And I need to get a sinus lift to set up to have a crown to get a tooth installed eventually. So it's like a whole process throughout this year. I'll have to go back a couple more times, two more times, I think. And the last time will just be like to set the tooth in the end. So that one will hopefully be a little bit less intense. But had that going on Monday. And I actually was going to stream today, but then I was like, there's a lot of things they told me I can't do. Like I have to avoid sneezing. I can't blow my nose for a month. Um, and I was
Jeez.
like, can I fly? They didn't mention anything about flying, but I was like, I think if like I know there's like pressure things happening when you go up in the plane and you come down and all that stuff. I was like, if I can't do these things, I feel like I shouldn't be able to fly. So I did a quick Google search, and what Google said was if you did get a sinus lift, you probably shouldn't fly. So I called up the office and they were like, yeah, don't fly for a month. So I was like, all right, it's a good thing I called and had that realization before I flew because things could have got bad.
Oh man.
Um,
The
uh,
plane's taking off and Azul's just screaming like on the way to Vancouver.
But, so yeah, they said don't fly for 30 days until I go back in for my like follow-up. So I was gonna get back to streaming this week, but instead today I had to work on packing because instead I'm gonna be driving up to Vancouver um instead. So it's gonna be like a 2-day drive total. So leaving tomorrow and I guess I'll be getting in there Thursday because Lorelai's staffing the event and she works on Friday. They need her like early Friday, so we have to get there Thursday. So yeah, my plans did change a little bit. I haven't gotten back to streaming since the UIC. Now I'm driving up to Vancouver instead, and this definitely means I won't be making it to Stockholm because I can't drive to Stockholm, which is like 2 weeks from now. So
You
100% Stockholm
could
was out.
you could
Um,
you could boat.
like, yes, I wonder if they have like a some kind of cruise ship.
I think it's very expensive to do that.
Probably. I assume it would stop my last time I flew to Stockholm, we had a layover in Iceland. Like, maybe there's some kind of, like, you go to Iceland.
You would probably like, it would be I guess it would be cruising, right? It would be like an Atlantic crossing cruise, and you would probably
Yeah.
cruise from the East Coast just to, like, maybe Spain or, like, Portugal or, like, the UK or something, and then you would just train from there to Stockholm, most likely.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely won't be going to Stockholm now for sure. Driving to Vancouver, so it's gonna be a little bit until I get back to streaming, because I'm not gonna get back from Vancouver until like Tuesday because I have to drive back, of course. But yeah, still gonna make it, still gonna go. So excited to still compete this weekend. Hopefully, I just feel because I feel fine right now, and I felt fine even the day I was done. Once I got the ibuprofen and everything, I honestly felt fine. So, which was yesterday, I felt fine afterwards. So hopefully the swelling doesn't get any worse or anything like that, and then I'll be feeling fine to compete this weekend. I got a
So
couple
if you
more
take a
days.
picture with Azul and he's not smiling in it after the fact this weekend, you'll know why.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
No,
trying
you're
to
good, you're good. Yeah, yeah, if there's any pics taken this weekend, maybe there will be minimal smiling. We'll see though, we'll see how I feel. I still have a couple days to recover. Like I said, I don't feel any, like, pain or, like, discomfort when I'm just sitting here. Like, I can't open my mouth too wide. But besides that, like, it's a lot more chill than I thought it would be as far as recovery goes
Have you ever
so
played the
far.
game, Fluffy Bunny?
I think I'm done a chubby bunny?
Chubby Bunny, that's what it is, yes, Chubby Bunny.
I think I did it once.
What how do you think you could do it now?
Not to the extent that I could
For
previously.
those who
I'm
don't know, the
limited.
game Chubby Bunny is when you and a group of friends, you get the jumbo pack of marshmallows, put one in your mouth and say Chubby Bunny. Then you pass around and you keep going, so on and so forth until you put as many basically you put as many marshmallows in your mouth as you possibly can while saying the word Chubby Bunny.
After each, yeah, and
Yeah,
then
after each one.
whoever gets the most of their math and can continue to say Chubby Bunny is the winner.
Yes.
Eventually,
Yeah.
you won't be able to say Chubby Bunny.
What you
Um,
win,
yeah,
that's debatable. You can't even really say pride at that point because it's like it's a kind of gross game because at some
yeah,
point
people
it's
start
like
drooling.
I'm glad we've both had similar chubby bunny
Yeah,
experiences in our lives.
it's not a very eloquent game for sure.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
What about you, Chip, though? Do you have any surgeries going on during
No
your week?
surgeries, thankfully. Yeah, not fun. I had a crown put in a couple years ago or like a year and a half ago now at this point, and that was definitely not super fun. So I do not envy you right now doing
I still
it.
have to go through
Honestly,
that.
just the dentist is like the worst, man. I just hate the dentist and anything dental related. Absolutely no fun. So do not envy that at all. But yeah, really nothing going on. Pretty chill week for me. Definitely excited and getting ready for Vancouver this weekend. I'm going to be doing like the segments and hosting and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to get plenty of player interviews throughout the weekend as I can. So if anyone out there has any interesting stories that come up throughout the weekend, and so or if especially anyone who's like local to Vancouver, feel free to like drop me a DM over on Twitter and maybe we can find an opportunity to feature something cool happening. Now, what I don't want is for you to DM me and say, Chip put me on stream for the winning and I'm XO2 with Dragapult because
You
that's
get
not a
DMs
super
like that
interest
often
not like crazy often,
once an
but
event?
several times an event, I'd say. A couple times an event, someone DMs and says either themselves or their, like, friend. They'll be
Yeah,
like, "Hey,
yeah.
my friend is XO2," or, they're on their winning in today too. And it's like, it's good and fine. I understand. People wanna get on stream and people wanna see their friends on stream and stuff like that. But, like, we want a little bit more of an interesting thing to be able to follow, to back it up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. A little more storyline, or you just kinda work off of, put Tord on again because he's the best player in the world. That's always a pretty good thing to work off of, which is fine.
How are you gonna feel playing on stream with your, chubby bunny cheek all chubbed up?
Well, hopefully, I don't make it to the stream to the final, so I have maximum time to recover.
There you go.
That's the goal.
Before we get into things, I did want to really quick throw a plug over for those who don't know. We've mentioned this a while ago when we kind of got it up and running again, but we do have our Uncommon Energy highlights channel that we've been posting to very regularly. So shout outs to Bradley, who's been handling that for us, like getting it all cut up and posted over there. So be sure to check out the Uncommon Energy highlights channel. It's linked in the description always. Um, and if you don't like have time to catch a full episode each week, you can always kind of catch the glimpses and highlights of the various things we talk about over there on the highlights channel.
Yeah, for sure. Go check it out. All right, Chip. Well, we get into our first big topic of the day. One that a lot of people were not excited for. I feel like usually people are excited for new announcements. And I thought actually the way we could actually start talking about this is just giving our personal takes on three prize Pokemon. Like, what do you just think about the previous iterations of three prize Pokemon in the TCG? But
Um, I didn't hate tag teams. I didn't love VMAXs. Um, I think my opinion on it, I used to have a much more like, I super dislike them, the idea of it opinion, because that was kind of like the way that a lot of the discussion went around these three prize Pokemon. The fact that one KO equals half of the game effectively being over. But I think your opinion on it has kind of changed my opinion on it over time. And like we've had discussions about three prize Pokemon back dating back to tag teams. Where I think like in the VMAX timeframe is kind of when you like started to have this kind of opinion of like, well, I don't want to speak for you, but like that it's not necessarily the fact that these are Pokemon that give up half of the prize cards necessary for the game, but it's like just what else happens. Like just the inherently the fact that a Pokemon gives up three prize cards is not the like uh inherent issue here, right?
yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah, that's definitely like always been my take. And like, yeah, I guess like the way I usually try and think about this is just, I just like think back to formats, and it's like, did I like dislike Pokemon TCG at that time? Not like hate it, like I still played it and competed, but like, was it kind of like overall, did it feel like more of a drag or just feel worse? And most formats I just kind of feel neutral about. It's just like it's just the Pokemon TCG. I'm fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm playing it. I'm competing in it. There's like moments in the game's time, ADPization, Broken Lugia, where I look back on it and like these were just kind of horrendous. Like these were just like definitely worse experiences in the Pokemon TCG. And I never really felt that too much during just tag teams before Zacian came out. I didn't really feel that at all in the tag team formats before Zacian came out.
Yeah.
During like the big VMAX Euros, which is mostly during COVID. We did have some VMAXs post-COVID, but it was like
It was also mostly during the Zacian ADP Zacian format as
yeah,
well.
that as well. So that kind of like probably hurt the VMAX's potential a little bit or the enjoyment of the game that could have been gotten out of it because there was like VMAXs alongside ADPization. Um, but like yeah, like post-COVID, there was like Mew, obviously Mew VMAX, Pikachu, and Duraludon, and that's like all that was played for VMAXs, right? Um,
Urshifu.
Post-COVID,
Yeah.
people were playing. Oh, that is that's true. Urshifu did
Didn't
pop up
Tord
then.
win the
Yeah, yeah,
first
yeah, yeah.
UIC with Urshifu? Or get
No,
second?
it was Gustavo that won.
Oh, with Urshifu though. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 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 with Urshifu. That's right. Urshifu did pop up as
Yeah,
well.
Urshifu was like 5 out of the top 8 at that first
Yeah, that's
UIC
right.
after
Yeah,
COVID,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The broken deck. Um, but yeah, VMAXs definitely felt bad, but it was also during COVID. So it's really hard to get like post COVID didn't feel that bad, but like VMAXs during COVID felt pretty bad, but it was also during COVID. So it's harder to get a kind of a solid
Yeah.
read on it. So I don't really even have like that strong of opinion on VMAXs during COVID, except for the fact that they were definitely fairly simple Pokemon. Um, and I think there could have been a lot more done with them. So that's like my biggest thing with VMAXs was like they felt fairly simple, and that's what we initially get here. I feel like from these two megas that have been revealed so far in Mega Lucario and Mega Gardevoir. If you want to just go ahead and just read what the cards do, I guess, so people know, and anyone who hasn't seen them yet.
Yeah, so these were revealed in the Pokemon Presents that happened this past Thursday. It was Pokemon Day, so they did a ton of announcements, lots of video game related things. I got super mega baited by this little bit right here. Was it after? I think it was in the very beginning. They showed like, yeah, Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre. I'm a big
Oh,
Gen 3 enjoyer, and I got super mega baited because I thought like they're doing something super cool with Gen 3. Are they remaking Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire? Like those games are sick. I love those games. And it was just Pokemon Masters EX. I was pretty
hmm,
disappointed by that. But
unlucky.
there's some other cool announcements related to Pokemon things. I think the VG community is super pumped about this Pokemon Champions thing that's coming out. It's basically like a battle simulator for VG, is what it looks like. That can be played on the phone as well, smartphones, Switch, whatever. Um,
Oh, so is this gonna replace Showdown?
I mean, potentially. Well, I don't. I guess we don't know the extent
Interesting.
of how. Like, can you just because like the thing with Showdown is you can just like log on, type a Pokemon, type the
Yeah.
stats you want, type the moves and stuff. Can you do that on this level? I don't know. Do you still have to? I think it's because they talked about in this presentation having to transfer Pokemon out of different games from Pokemon Home, or like
Hmm.
at least that it has the ability to do that. So it feels like you have to have the
Oh,
Pokemon
wait, you can go
still.
from Pokemon Go as well.
Yeah, that's been a thing.
No, no, but you can go from Go to Home to Champions.
Yes, but you've been able to go from Go to Home to Scarlet and
Yeah.
Violet as well for a long time.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're really making you what is Pokemon Home? Is it a game or is it free? Like, what is the
There
it's just a
it
thing on
is
the Switch?
free. There is like a free version of it, but it's basically just like a way for people to keep all their Pokemon that they've like collected over the years,
Hmm. Okay, I
stored,
didn't know
or
this.
organized as well. So like you can connect Pokemon Home to all of the Nintendo Switch games. It's a Switch app, but it's also a phone app. And then you can also send Pokemon from Pokemon Bank, which was a Nintendo 3DS service. So from Bank to home. So
Okay.
basically, any Pokemon, you can catch Pokemon in the Game Boy Advance games currently, like today, if you had them, and get them all the way to Scarlet and Violet.
All the way.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy process. I've actually, like, watched some videos about it. It's kinda cool, but it's also like, dude, the people who are doing this are some of the most, like, insanely dedicated Pokemon fans that exist. It's, like, absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
But
I wonder if the Champions thing is gonna be how tournaments are played, like, moving forward. Maybe that's, like, one way they're gonna try and combat the not combat Genning Pokemon? Is that the term that people use? Genning?
Jinning, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, make it so that Genning doesn't matter. Like, maybe that's one way they're gonna try and make it so, like, it's not relevant. So, like,
Well, it
there
just
should be
kinda
or something that
depends.
doesn't
It
really matter to begin
If you
with.
have to have the Pokemon and send them from home to champions anyway, it doesn't really matter unless you like once they get to champions, you can like edit their stats or whatever. I don't know,
Yeah.
but we don't have to spend too much time on this because we're not a Pokemon VG
That is
podcast.
interesting. I didn't know what Champions was. I saw people tweeting about it, but I didn't realize what it actually was.
So who knows? Maybe someday someone over in Japan at the Pokemon Company will be like, "Hey, we've got this trading card game property. Maybe we should like make a game about that. Like that's the actual trading cards, not Pokemon Pocket." And then we can get rid of TCG Live and have like a real game like Pokemon Champions.
Feels unlikely, but maybe.
But yeah, then in this they did unveil that Mega Evolution is coming, and part of that reason is because of Pokemon Legends ZA, which is the new game that's supposed to come out. I think they said later this year, right? And this game will reintroduce Mega Pokemon, and usually the game mechanics that we have in the trading card game mirror whatever's going on in the video game world as well. So yes, Mega Pokemon incoming, and there were just two of them revealed so far: Mega Lucario EX and Mega Gardevoir EX. So I guess the first thing we could talk about before I read the actual cards is the attributes of these Pokemon. Right, they are three prize cards.
Yep.
So they do give up three prize cards, but then also how they get put into play, because that is a very important piece here that is different from the previous iteration of Mega Evolution. So the previous iteration of Mega Evolution, you had basic Pokemon EX that could evolve into Mega Pokemon EX. But if you evolved into a Mega Pokemon EX, your turn ended. This is a bad example because that didn't happen for Mega Rayquaza, but right here, Mega Evolution rule: when one of your Pokemon becomes a Mega Evolution Pokemon, your turn ends. But if you had a Spirit Link, your turn did not end. So this is a tool card you could put onto your Mega Evolution. So there was like kind of a convoluted way to get a mega Pokemon into play, but it was trying to like mirror something similar to what happens in the games. There were a couple of Mega Evolution Pokemon put onto tag teams as well. You didn't have to do anything crazy to put these in play.
Yeah, just the name.
So that was a little different. But then these, they just evolve from the normal evolution line Pokemon. Like Riolu goes straight into Mega Lucario EX.
Yeah, and I wouldn't, like, think about that too much, like, read into it too much. It's just, like, they're trying to they just were basically like, "We wanna bring 3 prize Pokemon back into the game. Megas are in the video game right now, and then they probably did go through a couple test iterations of, like, different ways. Like, maybe they did try tool cards again, but at the end of the day, they were just like, "Let's just make them evolve from the basic to the mega." It just doesn't matter that much, and that, like, maybe makes more sense for, like, game design and all that stuff that they're gonna be coming out with. I didn't even realize, is that Lucario's feet on the bottom half of the artwork? It's, like, behind.
Yeah, that's how
It
all EX cards are, buddy. Like,
Wait,
even
really?
currently, yes.
You can there's, like, no way, is it actually? This is the first time I've ever noticed that. Just pull up,
Yeah.
like, yeah, Miraidon EX. They're, like, their silhouette?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
Oh
tr
my gosh, I did
opaque,
not
right?
realize that,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's his feet right there.
He's got some long ass legs. Oh, like, alright, bleep.
Bro! Dude, I'm not gonna remember to bleep it out. Just behave, buddy. You get a pass because 'cause you're on whatever you're on, ibuprofen.
Just strong ibuprofen. Nothing crazy. He's got some long legs. I didn't realize his legs could get that long. Extendo legs.
Extendo
Oh, but this one,
legs.
oh no, that one does still too. I did not realize that. I had never realized that.
Yeah, literally all EX Pokemon.
Man, interesting.
Gardevoir
Gardevoir?
EX.
Does Gardevoir EX have legs like that?
There's the, like, dress or whatever
No.
back in the background.
No leg intel.
But yes, there are Mega Lucario's legs, and here is the Mega Lucario. So let's read the card. 340 HP. That's a lot of HP. It is a Stage 1 Pokemon. And it does say Stage 1 on the card, which is also worth noting as well. Old Mega Pokemon literally said Mega on the card.
But yeah, I forget. Was there any interactions that ever came up with that? Like your opponent's Pokemon said this does something to a stage one Pokemon, but didn't apply to Megas? Was
Oh
that ever
yeah,
an interaction?
definitely. I can't think of anything specific like uh how like the Flareon, Vaporeon that like changed Stage 1 Pokemon's types, right?
Oh
And then
yeah,
went
yeah,
and
yeah.
changed Mega
True.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
Um
Like a
so
simpler. This is just like a simpler take on which I feel like is something they've been kind of doing in general with game design. It's just a little bit simpler, a little bit more straightforward. Doesn't mean it's worse. And if anything, that might make things easier to balance for them.
So we've got Aura Jab for a fighting, 130 damage. Attach up to 3 basic fighting energy cards from your discard pile to your benched Pokemon in any way that you like. And then Mega Brave, 2 fighting, 270 damage. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't use Mega Brave.
Yeah. Let's go into the Gardevoir next, because I think once we read both of them, that's where my take comes in on these cards.
So Mega Gardevoir EX, 2 attacks, 1 psychic, overflowing wishes. For each of your benched Pokemon, search your deck for a basic psychic energy card and attach it to that Pokemon. Then shuffle your deck, and then Mega Symphonia for 1 psychic energy 50 times. This attack does 50 damage for each psychic energy attached to all of your Pokemon.
Yeah, so when you both these cards, they're basically the exact same card. One is psychic type, one is fighting type. They have a first attack for one energy that puts a ton of energy in play, and then a second attack that hits really hard. And that's like the one thing that I had a problem with VMAXs. Like I said, they were kind of simple. VMAXs were a little simple. And we're already, I mean, these are just the first two megas revealed, so we'll see what follow-up megas are. Hopefully, it's not just how many different types do we have in the format right now? Seven? Hopefully, it's not
8
just hopefully it's not just
with colors.
8 different types of Pokemon that accelerate energy into play with their first attack and then hit hard with their second attack. Now, I don't think it's gonna be that, but that's, like, the only thing that I have as far as, like, a worry goes when reading these first 2 reveals. Because I think in general, the last 2, 3 years, like, post Broken Lugia, I feel like the game designers have done a really good job pretty consistently, like, the last couple years in the Pokemon
Mm.
TCG. I feel like the game's been really good. Some formats are better than others, obviously, but, like, overall, I feel like the game has been pretty
This
good.
whole Scarlet and Violet era.
Yeah, so I don't wanna, like, write them off just based on bringing back 3 prizers, which I think in general, if you were someone who was, like, really into Pokemon throughout the whole period of 3 prize Pokemon tag teams into VMAXs, a lot of people, I would say, maybe it's, like, one of the most not universally, but one of the most hated eras of the Pokemon TCG is 3 prizes. Like me and Chip said, I think we, uh, didn't dislike them as much as a lot of other people did.
I never really disliked tag teams. Like
Yeah,
I don't ever remember pre-COVID like
being
the
like, "Man, this sucks."
yeah, like being like I like yeah, playing Pokemon right now is not fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I say. Like, and like when I think back to, there was definitely the moments with ADPization, but for me, for sure. And then even during VMAX times, because the cards are like pretty simple overall, it just got really boring really quickly. But I will say it was COVID. There wasn't major tournaments, and I feel like that would have definitely shaken things up quite a bit if there was major tournaments as far as like meta new decks being discovered more quickly. So I think that's a big reason for things getting and feeling so stale so long during the VMAX, the big VMAX eras. So yeah, I don't wanna, like, right I wanna give the game designers some credit here or something, like, give them, let's wait and see what actually happens for sure because they've done so well so recently, and I don't think their, like, goal is to kind of just throw it all away, with Mega Pokemon. And I don't think there's yeah, like Chip said, there's nothing inherently wrong with 3 prize Pokemon. They could even have a 6 prize Pokemon, and it could be fine as long as it's done correctly. So I think we really just gotta wait and see what they come up with. These ones are really simple and basically the exact same card, except one's Fighting type, one's Psychic type,
Yeah,
one's a
and
stage 1, one's a stage 2,
one
but
is way better than the other as well.
yeah, I assume Gardevoir.
Gardevoir seems insane. Like
Yeah,
that card seems bonkers, especially when you also consider that Gardevoir EX, like regular Gardevoir EX,
this
is in
will
the
be legal.
format,
Yeah.
and it
So
evolved from the same thing.
yeah, I didn't realize that these are gonna be coming out in 2025. I assume it would be in it wouldn't be until, um, 2026 because we have owners Pokemon. We haven't even got the first owners Pokemon set, and now so are Megas gonna be mixed with owners? Because these are gonna be coming out in what, are these gonna be coming out in Scarlet and Violet 11 or 12?
I'm not sure. Yeah, will they be out pre-Worlds? I guess would be
Yeah.
the question.
'Cause we have back-to-back owner sets coming up, Journey Together into Destined Rivals, and then Scarlet and Violet 11, I assume has to have some owner cards. So it will be a mix of Mega and owner?
I would
Or
imagine
Mega's gonna come out in 12, which will be
these probably will not come out until Legends ZA comes out,
mhm.
which I think when did
But isn't that in J doesn't the new games drop in January usually?
usually, but
The following?
this is a side game. It's a side
Oh,
game.
okay, okay. So it should come out in our final set of the year then.
It's gonna be late 2025 is when this game comes
Okay.
out, so probably, yeah, our last calendar year set,
Post-World.
or our first 26 set.
Yeah, well, it said it's coming in 2025,
When did it
so
say that?
in the trailer.
About Mega Pokemon?
Yeah, it says Mega Pokemon are coming back to the Pokemon TCG in 2025, didn't it?
No. It said that, um
And let it play.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
2025 Mega Evolution is coming, so, yeah, probably indeed well, it could be Japan gets their set in 2025, but we don't get our set until
Usually they get their first set in 2026 that we don't like, they usually get it in January and we get it in March. That's what it's been like the last couple of years. So they would still be getting it in 2026 unless the schedule's getting shaken up, which could be a good thing, or even it could be worse than what we've had for release schedule recently. Who knows?
yeah, it feels like it's extremely bad right now, the release schedule, like,
I mean,
especially
it's
bad.
as bad as it's been the last 2 years. It's the same thing. It's the same January into March release schedule. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that it'll probably be the end of year set, the November set. I think that's probably when it would be. But then I guess I'm curious. So I guess we're gonna have 3 sets of owners Pokemon. But then I guess I'm also curious, will owners Pokemon continue alongside Megas for some sets, or will they just be done after the three owner sets? Because we still have like the Team Rocket. We haven't seen any of the Team Rocket owner cards that are pretty much confirmed that we're getting, right?
Yeah.
We haven't seen any leaks for that yet. So that has to be
No.
like that has to be our third set of the year.
There was one more card revealed with this that we could talk about,
Yeah.
and it's meant to be paired with Lucario, I guess, but this is kinda just like a broken card effect in general, for any type that it's printed for, and that is Premium Power Pro. During this turn, attacks used by your fighting Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Electro Power was broken. What's it called? Power Tablet was broken with Mew
I forgot about
VMAX.
Power Tablet, to be honest. I remembered Electro Power, I didn't remember Power Tablet, but yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
So
good cards.
this card is just certainly going to be good in something, whether it's actually Lucario or something else. Who knows? I mean, Cynthia's Garchomp Premium Power Pro doesn't seem too bad either. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway, and one thing I would, like, say to anyone out there who's kinda dooming on the Pokemon TCG with the release of Megas is, like, they definitely like, I think everyone understands if you think about it for a little bit, like, 3 prize Pokemon aren't inherently a bad thing in the Pokemon TCG if they're done correctly. The question is, will they be done correctly? And hopefully we don't go back to the simpler times of VMAX Pokemon. These first 2 Megas release don't give a ton of hope for that, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, but let's wait and see uh what they actually fully come out with, and then let's see how the cards play as well. Even if they fully release all the cards and they seem really simple, really straightforward, let's wait and see how they interact and how the gameplay is before we kind of lose our minds, because it might be better than we think. um I think the developers of the game, I feel like, have definitely earned that from the players, um as of late, as of the last couple of years.
Well, we do have a few new cards as well to talk about. I mean, I guess we did just talk about some new cards, but these are a little different because these are ones that we'll be getting sooner
Yeah.
in our upcoming sets. So let's hop on over. Shout outs to Twan, as always, for the translations. First one here, we got Mega Badoo EX with the ability Bud Bod. I'm just kidding. Bro,
This would be pretty good though.
would this
That
be
Itchier
broken?
Pollen, yeah, 70 damage for a colorless energy.
It's your 260 HP, three prizes, though.
I think it would be pretty
Balanced.
broken.
Prevent all
Code
damage done
effect.
to this Pokemon while your opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand. Yeah, this card would be
Oh my
broken.
gosh, yeah, this would be insane. I own them up to 6 and then item lock them.
So sick. All right, for real though, I mean, in this, it's not quite as good as Mega Badoo EX, but this one is definitely pretty strong, and that is Shaman from Scarlet Violet 9A with the ability Flower Curtain. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Prevent all damage done to your benched Pokemon that don't have a rule box by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon.
So this is effectively a reprint of a bench barrier. We've seen it with Mr. Mime, Mew, most recently Manaphy, and now we have the Shaman. But it is a little bit different. And I do like I did just mention like how they seem to be making things a little bit simpler in some aspects of the Pokemon TCG. Like Mega Pokemon are just stage 1 and stage 2 Pokemon, which is like fine. But then they do take things like this, which is like an adaptation of Bench Barrier, and I like what they did with it as well. They added a little bit more, I don't know, nuance to it to make it a little bit more interesting, and make it not so kind of catch all. So I do like this, and that's what I was talking about as far as the game design goes. I feel like they've been doing really, really well lately, from keeping things simpler in some aspects and keeping things a little bit more nuanced in other aspects in the game. So I really like, if we're gonna bring back bench barrier, which I don't know if that's necessary, but they think it is. If we're gonna bring it back, something like this being the bench barrier we get, I like a lot more than just Manaphy or Mr. Mime 5.0 or whatever.
Yeah, worth noting, this thing does have 80 HP, so you cannot grab it with Buddy Buddy Poffin.
Yeah, that's another big one as well. And we do have a lot of Terra Pokemon currently that already protect themselves. So a lot of your rule box Pokemon are already protected. And that, I assume that maybe this is like lining up as like one of the reasons why they kind of did that with Terra. One of the reasons they took that route. Um, but we know we'll eventually lose Terra Pokemon, or lose some Terra Pokemon, or we'll get more Pokemon that aren't Terra Pokemon. And Shaman will still be here, right? Defending just the weaklings, the Dreepies and the Charmanders and the Pidgeys. It won't be able to protect your Pheasantippides, and your Ice Rotom and Luminion are rotating. Your Ogrepons will be safe. Your Dragapults will be safe, but Zoroark EX is not going to be safe from getting sniped, stuff like that, right? So, and the Megas are not going to be safe. The Shaman can't protect the Megas, so I really like this take on a bench barrier, because that's basically what it is with the Shaman. And yeah, the ADHP is also a good thing to point out as well. It's not going to be, you can't just go second Arvin for your second Buddy Poffin, double Buddy Poffin, triple Dreepy plus Shaman. Got to find an Ultra Ball or a Nest Ball and use that instead. Get a little bit less value to protect your bench. So I like it.
Got a couple more cards here. We got the Misty's Starmie, where it's Sudden Flash 60 plus. If this Pokemon evolved from Misty's Staryu this turn, this attack does 80 more damage.
Yeah. So this isn't anything too crazy. It's a nice one prize attacker, and it's obviously just there as fodder for Misty's Gyarados, which like what discards the top 7 or 5 cards of your deck and does like 70 or 80 damage for each Misty's card you discarded. And it seems
Yeah.
like this is going to be the extent of the Misty's card. So Gyarados is the big Misty's deck or whatever that we're getting.
Well, there might be a ultra rare Misty's Pokemon. We haven't seen that yet, right?
That's quite a few Misty cards already though now. I think that's going to be it. I don't think we're going to get an ultra rare,
Hmm. We'll have to see. Yeah.
which isn't inherently a bad thing either though. Like just the one prize Gyarados deck is fine, I think.
We've got a new Hydrapple, 170 HP, Stage 2 Grass type Pokemon with Hydra Breath. Discard 6 basic grass energy from your hand Otherwise, this attack does nothing. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now knocked out.
Yeah. I don't know about this one to be honest. It's a stage 2. That's kind of the biggest hold up here. If it's a stage 1, I mean, getting 6 grass energy in your hand, even with a stage 1, is still pretty tough. We got superior energy retrieval. We have the 5 night stretcher card,
Max Rod.
max rod. So it's not impossible, but yeah, setting up a stage 2 and doing it multiple times does not seem really very realistic. Maybe in a mega
I
Pokemon format
mean,
though,
we've got Earthen Vessel, right? We've got
you need a lot.
bug catching sets.
I don't know. You have to do
We've
it multiple
got
times though. I mean, maybe there's something
yes.
else in the deck. Maybe there's something else in the deck they're
All I
comboing.
gotta say is like usually when an attack says the whatever the thing is in the active spot is knocked out, it's like popped up every once in a while, right? It's
Yeah,
not like this is gonna be a meta card. Like B Drill wasn't a top tier card necessarily, but
pop
Arceus
up.
B Drill was pretty decent with the single strike mustard play, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And that just one hit KO'd whatever your opponent's active was. So
Very true.
I don't know. Like, obviously, this is a little bit more in depth. You got to kind of build a deck around this strategy. But I could see a world where if like mega Pokemon are dominating the game, all of a sudden someone rolls up with their high Drapple deck and they just have to get 6 energy in their hands 2 times and they win the game.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely possible. We'll see. Yeah, once the megas come out, there's more validity for the card for sure.
We've got a Crustle here with the ability Boulder Guard. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX.
Yeah, so another wall Pokemon, specifically only from EX Pokemon, but I guess that makes sense because rotation's about to hit.
And then
So
Great Scissor for the attack for a grass and 2 colorless. This attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon.
I'm sure we'll see this pop up at some point, either in a wall deck or by its like Quad Crustle. Is this the new Decidueye? We're gonna have
Just
like
keep rolling up
the Crustle flowchart or whatever. It's like the now is correct to play Crustle.
as the meta shifts and changes.
Yeah.
We've got MC's Hype, a new supporter card. Draw 2 cards, and if your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining, draw 2 more cards. It's just
This
another
card is
iteration
terrible.
of the draw 4 would be too powerful, so we're not going to give you draw 4. So here's a super convoluted way to sometimes draw 4.
This card is terrible. This is like the one of the worst draw fours ever, if not the worst draw four ever. So
Yeah,
bad.
it's not ideal. And then a brand new Judge artwork. It looks like Judge
Come
went back
around.
in time to like the 80s and went to the beach.
Yeah. A lot of people were hating on this artwork from what I saw on Twitter as well. No one's a big fan
I did see a
of the
Judge
judge.
artwork tier list that had this all by itself in D tier.
Yeah, I think I saw a similar one. Or maybe the same one. I don't know. It's not that bad. I don't know. He's getting groovy out there on the court, match, stadium, whatever.
Someone does point out here in the comments, though, it is still a G regulation mark. So it did not get an
Mm.
updated regulation mark.
I assumed it was an updated regulation mark. It is not though. Yeah, interesting. So it seemed. I mean, that's not 100% tell that they plan for Judge to rotate, but it's kind of. I feel like if you're coming out with new artworks and then not giving them the updated regulation when it would be like time to give it to them, it kind of feels like it's like, yeah, they plan on rotating it. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, Zul, it is time for us to hop over to Guess That Flavor Text. But before we do, we have to take a moment to thank our fantastic sponsor, Dragon Shield, for supporting us here at the Uncommon Energy Podcast. Dragon Shield makes some of the best card gaming and tabletop gaming sleeves and products on the market. We love them for the sleeves, but they make all sorts of other products, role playing games, other gaming accessories, deck boxes, other storage solutions. You can customize your own sleeves as well. And this week, we want to talk a little bit about something Azul got sent recently, and that is the double shell deck box. The shadow black color is what you said you got sent as well, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
got a white one and a black one. Probably gonna be rocking the white one at Vancouver. I'm a big fan of their shell deck boxes. I wanted a deck box that could fit not just my deck, but also my dice, dice case, and that one fits it really well. But then I was like, you know, it'd be also nice though if I could just fit my extra sleeves as well. And this thing can fit all of it. I can fit my deck sleeved up, my dice case, and all 40 extra sleeves. from the box of Dragon Shields that I just leave my deck up in. So it literally fits it all, which is pretty sick. So I have everything in one box as opposed to carrying around the extra sleeves in the Dragon Shield box with me in my backpack. Just makes things a little bit more organized. So yeah, I'm excited to rock this and try it out at Vancouver this weekend.
Yep, comes in all sorts of different colors, and we're actually going to leave a link to this product specifically in the description, along with our normal Dragon Shield affiliate link. So if you want to support us, be sure to check out these products by clicking the link in our description. And you can also use code UEPOD, that's UEPOD, to get yourself a 5% discount, get 5% off your order with any purchases that you make. Thanks as always to Dragon Shield for supporting us here at the Uncommon Energy Podcast. We love them. We appreciate them. And now it is time for us to hop over to Guess That Flavor Text, where each week Azul or I picks a card, reads the flavor text from it, and has the other host try to guess which Pokemon is featured on that card. We are both on quite a drought the
Yeah,
last
it's racking up.
few weeks here. Um, but it is Azul's turn to pick a card for me to try to guess which Pokemon is featured on it. There are three different lifelines I can use to try to narrow it down a little bit. We do keep track with the points and stuff. For each lifeline you use, you lose 1 point that you could potentially earn. And those lifelines are what set the card is from, what stage the card is, and read an attack name.
Yep. Chip, are you ready for this week's flavor text?
I'm so ready. And I'm so ready to get some more points on the board.
All right. Since a broken tusk will not grow back, they diligently sharpen their tusks on river rocks after they've been fighting.
Okay. Well, I mean, this narrows things down massively. This guy's got tusks. So we got the Mamoswine evolution line. We've got the Walrein evolution line, walrus tusks. We've got Caparaja in the mix as well. And you say something about the water. So, I mean, I would lean a little bit more towards Walrein. I don't think the Sfeel does not have tusks, but Celio, I think, has begun to grow tusks. So, Celio, Walrein. Caparaja is also definitely something of potential here. Let me hear the flavor text one more time.
Since a broken tusk will not grow back, they diligently sharpen their tusks on river rocks after they've been fighting.
Diligently sharpen them. Well, let's start with what set the card is from. I am going to use some lifelines here. What set this card from?
Noble victories.
Oh, okay. So that eliminates Caparaja. um, hmm. Huh. I feel like there. That is a set that I really do not know that much about. So you've done a good job by picking that out. Um,
Not on purpose.
let's hear an attack name.
We have got Scratch.
Come on, bro. All right. Well, this is definitely just got to be a basic. It's got scratch. Um, Swinub does not have tusks. Um, what other Pokemon? There's surely something else that has tusks. It also could be something that like doesn't really look like it has tusks, but they call it tusks, but it's like really just a big tooth or something. I don't know. Um, I know it's a basic, so I don't really want to use that lifeline. Let me just hear the flavor text one last time.
Since a broken tusk will not grow back, they diligently sharpen their tusks on river rocks after they've been fighting.
Um, I mean, there's like pincer, those things, the pinchers on its head, like, could those be considered tusks? Not really, I don't think. But I feel like I've got like an image in my head from like the cartoon of like a pincer's thing breaking. Um, so that kind of sticks out to me. Um, Man, I really don't know. I guess let's just narrow it down with the oh, could it be bear tick? Cubchoo does not have tusks. Does Beartick have tusks? It's like just ice, isn't it? But is that a tusk? What stage is the card?
It is a stage 1.
All right. I guess I just have to lock in Beartick. I really don't know. Oh wait, no, I guess that could be Piloswine. Does Piloswine have tusks? I can't really all I can picture now is the brown, long, bushy hair and its two little dot eyes. It does have tusks. They stick out like at the front of it. Oh, Piloswine or Beartick. Come on. I locked in on it's just gotta be Piloswine. Like the tusks. Yeah, let's just lock it in. Let's go with Piloswine. Let's hear it.
It is not Piloswine. I'll tell you its other attack name. Maybe I should have given you this one because maybe it would
Is
have.
it Beartick?
It's not Beartick. Its second attack name is Dual Chop. That give you anything?
Tusks. Is it a fighting Pokemon?
It is a colorless Pokemon. Well, colors
Is,
exist in the video game.
is Dragon type?
It is Dragon.
Hmm. Stage one. Oh, is it Fracture?
It is Fracture.
Dang it, man.
I knew this would be really hard because I just don't know how you'd ever get to Fracture.
Dude, it's those are tusks, man. Come on.
What is the definition
Ah.
of tusks? Things that come out of the mouth?
I mean, I thought it
Like,
was like the I it's like an ivory tooth basically, right? Or maybe it doesn't have to be ivory, but that's like what
yeah,
elephants have. I would have
I don't know the
never thought
definition.
of these. That's what I said that at some point. It's like something that maybe isn't a tusk, but they consider it a
Yeah.
tusk.
I mean, this might fit the definition of a tusk. I don't know what the definition of a
Dude,
tusk is.
this was a good one. This was a good one. This
Yeah.
really the tusk threw me off. I
It
yeah,
looks
I
like
would have
he's
been
eating a Wingle or something, like, right? Like, it's just in those are its
what makes you think he's eating
wings.
a Wingull?
That's what it looks like. It looks like the wings of the bird that he chomped
Oh,
in. Yeah.
okay, sure, sure. Man, that is a bummer. That is a bummer. Well, maybe
It
I'll
is
get
Fracture.
one right at some point. Maybe in
Maybe.
2025, I'll get one right.
We'll see. Alright, Chip, we got a big tournament coming up this weekend. I'm playing,
Dude,
you're casting.
the last one I got right, it has been 20 episodes since I got one right.
Sheesh, bro, this is not looking good for you.
Holy cow.
I feel like
I
I have nothing to lose, whereas, like, your reputation is a little bit on the line.
No, it's not.
A little bit.
So we got Vancouver this weekend. Like you said, I'm working. You are um playing
Mhm.
in the tournament. And I gotta say, after our intro here, where you're talking about how you can't fly, so you're having to last second like pick up and drive. I gotta say, I feel like if that had happened in October, you wouldn't have driven. You'd have been like, I'm gonna stay home and restream it. So I appreciate the fact that like you've got I don't know what it is, but you're does you have enough desire to actually get out and play in the tournament for whatever reason.
Yeah, I just, like, already kinda committed to the idea of doing it. Yeah, I don't know, like, like, earlier in the season, what would have pushed me to well, I mean, like, I can drive to this one. I can't drive to many other regionals, to be honest. That's part of it.
I mean, saying you can, I mean, you could drive to Atlanta
Reasonably.
regionals as well.
Yeah, 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 but, like,
Some people
this
don't
one
really
is, like
consider 15 hours reasonable.
yeah, I mean, this one's, like, more within reason than most, so,
Sure.
yeah, I don't mind it too much. I've driven up to Vancouver before for one of the regionals, so it's not that bad.
It's been I was thinking about this recently. It's been a long time since I've had like a real solid like road trip. Uh but like I used to road trip all the time to regionals. Like
Yeah.
we
I mean,
would
yeah,
pack like 5 people in my tiny car and drive 12 hours to whatever East Coast regionals was happening.
thinking back on it, like, how many of the like, going from Massachusetts to Philly or even to Indianapolis multiple times, like, I mean, it was definitely a lot cheaper, though. You get, like, 5, 6 people in a vehicle, drive it even from, like, Massachusetts to Indianapolis. Definitely cheaper than buying flights, that's for sure. And it's a good time as well. It's a good time as well.
Some good memories made on those long trips for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to Vancouver. Always kind of a fun city to visit as well, depending on how the weather is. Last time it just rained the entire weekend, so I don't know if
It's gonna be
that's
pretty cold.
it's gonna be cold, but is it
It's
gonna be
gonna be
rainy? I
cold.
can handle the cold. Cold plus rain though, that's brutal.
Yeah. Also, we said we wouldn't forget this again, and I guess I did catch it halfway through the episode. There's also a regional happening in Brazil this weekend as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
Fortaleza. I don't know how to quite pronounce it, but I tried my best.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you try, not me. Fortazella, maybe.
So I guess one thing we can do is we can combine our predictions for these ones as well. We should be able to combine all of them actually, to be honest, except for one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so two regionals coming up this weekend: Vancouver and Fortaleza. So a decent amount of action. I don't know if there'll be a stream for Fortaleza. I assume Copag is running it, so my guess is going to be no stream, even like a community stream for the regional in Brazil. So we're just gonna have to wait for the results on that one. There's nothing to watch. I think Pokedata will probably have. So anyone who doesn't know about Pokedata, it's a site. Shout out to Julian. Um, Pokedata.ovh basically just scrapes all the data from RK9 and puts it in like easy to read format for the results of tournaments basically live as they are happening. So if you want to keep up with tournaments as they're happening, use pokedata.ovh. It's pretty simple, pretty easy site to use and navigate. Um, Allows you to keep up with the action even when there's like no stream going on, or even
Yeah.
if there's a stream going on, you don't get all the information. You get more information on this site than you do through the stream. So, yeah, go check it out if you're someone who's going to be spectating this weekend.
Yeah, we use this site all the time, especially to like one of the cool things I think about this site is being able to like look back and see like what a player's tournament run looked like, especially now that
Yeah,
all data gets released and you can see
dude,
like even through all of day one what someone played through on their tournament
Ryuki
run.
Ryuki was cooking the golden goes, bro. I didn't realize he played 4 of them.
Yeah, 4 golden go
Tied
for
against
Ryuki.
Xander? What the
Oh?
heck?
No, that's ID, bro.
Oh, is that an ID?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
I think Rahul lost to a cloth on the winning end, or like second to last round, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, once, I thought that
Is that did Marco play cloth?
I'm not sure what Marco played, but it looks like it was a dub. Maybe against
Oh
us.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he talked about I remember him saying something about how the matchup seems so terrible or something like that. Anyway,
I thought there was potential for that crew of American players rocking the golden goal to kinda dominate the tournament, and it seemed the potential was there for a little while, but, did not end up being the result in the end, you know? Holt still kinda won out,
yeah.
specifically the Australians. But yeah, use that
Um
site if you're trying to keep up with the action over the weekend.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I use it all the time. But yeah, let's talk about some of the decks and kind of some of the stories post EUIC. So let's start. I think a good place to start would be with the deck that won at EUIC, which is Terrapagos, with the cloth, with the Badoo, all of those things kind of baked into it. I mean, it was a pretty impressive run and especially a pretty impressive display from Ryuki in the finals about like what the deck can do.
Yeah.
His top 4 game against Xander Perot as well. I think that's the game where if you watch that game, you would be like, dude, this deck is just broken. It like the way you can manipulate your damage and play around Pheasantipity, like this deck seems insane. Um, those things considered, I mean, Cloth, I think, kind of surprising, and we keep calling it Cloth.
Really is
Grant
Badoo Terrapagos.
yeah, Grant is very quick to always correct me about this, and it's like he's like, "Dude, there is a cloth in the deck, but it is not a cloth deck
Yeah,
anymore. It
yeah,
is a
definitely.
Terrapagos deck." Um, is this was like a sneakily high percentage deck, right? Was the 6th most popular deck in day 1 of the tournament, which I don't think really anyone anticipated. Um,
Was it that high?
yeah, it was the 6th most
Oh, but it
popular
was
deck.
only 4% still, though. It was only we do have it was a kind of a top-heavy meta, I guess, overall with
Yeah,
Dragonbolt at 18.
it did make the graph though, but yes,
Yeah.
4% day 1. What is it gonna look like in Vancouver now? The deck just won. Is it gonna ride that wave, be more popular? Is it gonna be as successful?
Um, Honestly, it was besides winning, there were still 2 or 3 others in top 16 as well, so it was pretty successful. I honestly don't think the deck was that good of a play for EUIC. I think it actually becomes probably a slightly better play moving forward because one of its auto wins, Golden Go, becomes more popular for sure. But honestly, I still don't think the deck is that good of a play moving forward. You have a tough time against Archaladon, and excuse me, Gardevoir. Those are like the big ones. And specifically, like if you're copying the Ryuki build, that build just like can't beat Archaladon. Doesn't even have Ursaluna in it, which is actually a card that we missed when we initially analyzed Ryuki's build. Um, there's no Ursaluna in Ryuki's build. The other builds that did place pretty well, just outside of top 8 and top 16, they were playing like a little bit more traditional of a list, I guess, than what we come to see. But of course, that's going to come up with more variables. It's going to come with more variables against those matchups um, that you're trying to like kind of hone in on, like the Dragapult matchup and stuff like that. So yeah, and even with like stuff like the Ursaluna, I think you're still unfavored against stuff like Archaladon. So yeah, honestly, I don't think the deck is going to increase in popularity by that much. Maybe it'll get up to like 6%, but I could see it just being 4% again. um, and yeah, I honestly just don't think it's that ridiculously strong of a play moving forward. I think it's like fine. I think, but there's a lot of other decks that are fine plays
I
going to
actually think
Vancouver.
it's like it's um I don't think its play rate will increase much, maybe slightly, but I do think it's like it's not any better or worse of a play really than it
I
was for
think,
EUIC,
yeah, I
I would
think it gets
say.
better. I think it was actually a worse play at EU. I don't think it was that good of a play at UIC to be honest, but I think it does get better for sure moving forward to
Well, the two
Vancouver.
decks you mentioned that it has a hard time against, Gardevoir or Chaladon, neither of
Oh,
those
and
decks.
Lugia. I think it's also unfavored against Lugia, but that one's a
Yeah,
little bit closer.
and none of those decks did really well at a UIC. Obviously, Simone got top 4 with Archaladon, but that's like, I mean, you gotta go really far down to find the next Archaladon.
Yeah.
Archaladon overall, not a great tournament. Lugia fell off the face of the earth. Gardevoir really didn't perform super well. So if those results kind of scare the people who like those decks off of playing those decks, force them into something else, maybe it
Yeah.
actually gets to be a better play. And I think the biggest factor for Terapagos, why it was like it ended up performing really well at UIC, is it is probably, maybe besides Dragapult, the best user of Badoo in the format. And arguably
I
it's
think it
better
is. Yeah, I think it is
because
the best user Badoo. It's just
you
not as good as
can
Dragapult.
you can output more damage, right? You can KO things in between turns, not activating like the potential of the Badoo is just so strong. And also you get the added benefit of the potential to be able to donk people
Yeah.
with Petrons, which no one really likes that much. So I think, like, I don't know that it's gonna be very popular, but I think this deck is going to be pretty successful at this tournament.
I will see. I guess I don't expect Gardevoir and Archaladon's popularity to fall off that hard. Um, Archaladon will definitely not be 12% at Vancouver, but even if it's still at like 9%, Gardevoir still at 8%, like that wouldn't surprise me. So yeah, and I think we'll probably see more success. Like Archaladon still got top 4, but I have to imagine. But then yeah, the next highest place one is like Shemansky at 70th place, I think, or something like that. I have to imagine one of those 3 decks is going to have a better tournament. Lugia is definitely the one that I feel like Cloth cares about the least out of the 3, but I imagine one of those 3 decks will have, like, a better run overall to kind of, maybe slow down the Cloth a little bit. Yeah,
Next
I
deck.
think it's still
Oh,
fine, for sure. But yeah, like you said, like, the popularity shouldn't be going too crazy.
is Dragapult still the undisputed most popular and best deck in the format?
Yeah, I don't think any deck will it'd be hard for a deck to dethrone it. I mean, how many majors do we have less in this term? We got 2 majors this weekend, Stockholm 2 weekends from now, and then Brisbane the weekend after. So 4 majors total left in this format. I don't think any deck will be more popular than Dragapult. I don't think it's possible because the deck is so good, and I don't see. Yeah, I think it's still the best deck in the format. I think it just solidly is the best deck in the format. Like I don't even think it's. It's not that it's not close. It's just like um, it's not like Broken Lugia. In terms of like how much better it is than everything else, it's not like Broken Lugia levels better than everything else, but like it definitely is just like solidly better than everything else. and I just don't see how anything else can get to its level. Like some deck would have to come out of nowhere that no one has been playing or thinking of, and like to dethrone it. I feel like because the matchup spread is just way too wide on it.
I think the interesting thing with Dragapult right now is the very many different ways to play it, right?
Yeah,
Um, we got like the Natalie Miller and James Cox lists, which are both very similar to each other, just kind of traditional with the Dusknoir. There's some Charizards in the mix as well. Oscar Madsen had the ninth place finish at EUIC, just outside top eight with the clean cut. So that's still floating around there. And then we've got the Fernandez brothers build, which I think will pick up in popularity a little bit more.
I like this build the most
They've
personally.
got the Ursaluna, and the really interesting thing is the Monkey Dory with the Darkness Energy. I feel like if you expect to play some mirror matches and one of you has Monkey Dory Dark and the other one doesn't, the person with Monkey Dory Dark just has to like
Gotta have
absolutely
the advantage.
destroy the other person. Like it's got to be a very sizable advantage.
Yeah, and Tord played something pretty similar to this. Didn't have the Monkey Dory, had collapse over Sinnoh Lost City, um, but kind of the same idea. Had the Ursaluna as well, so definitely had a Halucha in there as well for some damage spread. Um, so definitely an interesting build from Tord. Uh, and what was I gonna say? Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of ways to play the deck right now. I think like I like the Fernandez build the most. I think. But and I think I like Charizard the least. But I mean, Oscar is like the sole, I don't know, hype man behind the deck for a while. Like since the format began, Oscar's been like talking about how good this deck is, and with like. I assume other people play Dragapult Charizard at the tournament, but its play rate to its success rate is maybe the most successful Dragapult tournament at EUIC, for sure. I would say was probably Dragapult Charizard in terms of its play rate to placement, but so there's definitely some more there's definitely something to look at here for sure. I just have not had time to ever try it out really, to be honest, but yeah,
I
there's a lot
think
of ways to play
this
Dragapult.
this version of the deck seems really good into everything but the mirror.
Yeah, I have to imagine that's where it probably struggles the most, as long as the opponent plays knowing that you have Charizard, like it, like, plays around the Charizard, but I feel like it's not that hard to do it, and you're gonna see it coming from kind of from a mile away. So I feel like you do have the disadvantage in the mirror, for sure. And then it's, like, tough to like argue to play a Dragapult build that is disadvantaged in the mirror, to be honest. Instead of trying to figure out the best one for the mirror, I feel like that should be something that you're prioritizing for sure. Because I feel like that's something every deck should be prioritizing is having something against Dragapult Charizard. Let me see that with the Golden Go lists, right? Playing the Monkey Dory themselves,
Yeah.
that kind of being like the fix for that matchup. So
Speaking of the Golden Go, was that just a singular tournament fluke, or will it have staying power? Will Golden Go now be, a meta contender for the format?
I think it's actually gonna be pretty popular at Vancouver. Golden Go actually in last format was like 7% for a while
Yeah.
in the meta. I think people like Golden Go. That's pretty cool. That's pretty fun. I think people just need to be shown that it's good to want to play it. So I think Golden Go will be pretty popular. I could see Golden Go being the second most popular deck at Vancouver. Maybe that's
That's
a little
crazy.
wild, but when you think about what else would be the second most popular deck, Ardvor or Chaladon? I mean, we're sitting here. I'm not a huge fan of either of those decks right now. Personally, I'm a bigger fan of Golden Go, I think, than either of those. Um, yeah, I can see our child, or I can see Golden Go being the second most popular deck, probably like at 10%. Like maybe there's a ton of 10%ers in that range under Dragapult. I could
I
see
think it's
Golden Go being one of them.
pretty unlikely
It
that
does
that
seem unlikely.
happens.
I agree. I don't disagree.
I think
But
it's more
what's
likely
going to
that
be there
Miraidon is the second most popular deck. Even
after
though even though it didn't do the best at EUIC,
and
I
Cloth
think
Terrapagos one? Yeah, I don't
yeah,
see
that is
Miraidon
fair.
being. I think Miraidon's gonna fall off a little bit. I do still like Miraidon, but I think it's gonna decrease in popularity going into Vancouver
Well,
from
I just think a
UIC.
lot of people make their decisions this is something we fail to consider so often. Or like we consider it, but we don't weight it heavily enough, I think. And that is the fact that 80 plus percent of the players have known what deck they're playing for 2 weeks.
That is something, but it was UIC was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So like, did people pick?
But we thought that dude, Miraidon was everywhere, won Merida. It was 2 weeks, and then Gardevoir was still the second most popular deck at EUIC.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. Yeah, it is true for sure. So yeah, it'll be interesting how it kind of shakes up, and I feel like probably. American slash Canadian players are probably locking in their deck choice or picking their deck choice probably more based on the Merida results initially before UIC even happened, which I guess I don't disagree with. But yeah, I don't know. I could see it. So I could see. I don't think Merida will be the most. If it wasn't the most popular at UIC though, I don't see it being the most popular here still
I mean, I
though.
don't think it's gonna be more popular than
Oh, not
Dragapult.
most popular. Sorry. Yeah, Dragonbolt's
Yeah,
always the most popular.
yeah.
Second most popular is definitely up. It feels like it's up for grabs. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Gardevoir or Archaladon was the second most popular, just based on what we saw at EYC. But I don't think either of those decks seem very great right now. So, and I think people, a lot of, Golden Go, it seems better than both of them, and I think Golden Go's got some hype behind it as well. So I wouldn't be shocked if Golden Go was the second most
Also,
popular.
98% of the people who are at this tournament are gonna be either from the United States or Canada,
Yeah,
like 95 maybe at,
it'll
something
probably be
like that.
98. Yeah, it'll be high.
343 Americans at EUIC, 60 Canadians. So if every single one of those people who went to UIC is also going to Vancouver, which is not the case, let's
All
say
right, let's start analyzing. We'll know 60 of the players are playing. Make some medicals here.
yeah, there you go, yeah.
Then you pick out all
The
the
best
top level
players,
Americans.
yeah,
A lot of them are playing Golden Go. Dude, we could predict the meta here. This could be a free dub.
there
The
you go.
optimal call.
I mean it more to say that the
Oh, I know.
majority of the people who are playing in this tournament did not even go to EUIC,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So how, uh, heavily will those results weight their deck choice?
Yeah, I don't know. This is like there's definitely a lot more to analyze here and go in because I think like we can look at past. I think some tournaments are just weighted differently in the minds. I think ICs are probably in the competitive Pokemon TCG space, weighted pretty heavily in terms of predicting what people will play. Maybe not the week after an IC, definitely 3 weeks after, but then maybe the 2 weeks is kind of the gray area. Because like we've seen it before in the past, where the example I always go to is when Yuho won with Maridon at LAIC, and then the next week in Europe, Maridon was like 15% of the tournament or something ridiculous. It went from like 8% to 15, and that's obviously just based on Yuho winning, right? So there's 2 weeks. That's more time. I feel like there's more time for people to make the adjustments, try out the cloth deck maybe, definitely pick up Golden Go, stuff like that. Maybe put down stuff like Archaladon or Maridon with maybe the hype of the cloth Terrapagos deck. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to wait and see in the end. But I feel like it is kind of tough to pick maybe that should have been one of our predictions. What will be the second most popular deck? Because right now I'm actually not too sure, but there's like a lot of candidates that I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of those. And Golden Go, I think I could see it being Golden Go. It's been close a couple times.
So you put Stall super low on your tier list
Yeah.
for the last tournament. I think I put it kinda medium. I think it was like C tier or B tier, maybe even on my tier list heading into EUIC, and it ended up having a really good tournament. 2 players in top 8 with the deck, quite a few more in day 2 as well. Like, it had a really solid showing overall, especially considering its play rate, which is a big factor for those decks always. Do you think that it will be successful once again in Vancouver this weekend?
Probably not as successful as it was in the UIC, but I think it's definitely probably a better play in the current meta than gave it credit for. And I don't think there's a reason to assume it gets that much worse for it. Although I think it's maybe a little bit more on people's radar. So like some of the Cloth Terrapagos players might, I mean, with Force Switch card, maybe it's already good enough, but they might consider putting Petron EX in, stuff like that. Like I wouldn't be surprised to see text like that pop up. Um, I think I definitely did underrate the deck a little bit, but I don't think it's like uh I would say maybe it overperformed at EUIC, but it's definitely better than I give it credit for before EUIC. So
Yeah.
one of them in top 8 wouldn't be like a shock. So I think the deck is like okay still.
I definitely think it overperformed a little bit, and I think part of it is like, um, people in past formats have at least been kind of prepared for Snorlax. In general, most people just play pretty badly against Snorlax and stall and control decks in
Yeah,
general. That's like a big reason why those decks are always so successful is because good
definitely
players
has
choose to play them
inflated
and
win
people
rate.
play poorly against them. Um, so I think what I would say, PSA, anyone playing in Vancouver this weekend, play 2 games of your deck that you want to play against Stall and just have a good game plan at
Yeah,
least.
have an idea.
I do not think Stall should have nearly as good of a time as it did, but it probably will still have a decent enough tournament because people don't prep properly against it, and its rates are inflated. Its results are inflated compared to how
Based on
good it
that.
actually is.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, so I think it performed a little bit over at UIC, but it's not like something it's not crazy broken right now or anything like that.
All right. We've already talked about each of these 3 decks just a little bit, but I think kind of some of the big stories out of EUIC were the fact that Gardevoir, Miraidon, and Lugia were all expected to be very popular and very good decks in the format.
I think
Um,
Lugia was maybe the standout of those of being like, well, Miraidon's getting popular. Can Lugia still compete? But
yeah,
yeah, for sure.
they all had poor performances at EUIC.
Yeah.
Do you think they can bounce back in Vancouver? Which of the 3, maybe rank the 3. Let's do that. Rank the 3 most likely to bounce back, least likely to bounce back.
Um, honestly, I think this so Gardevoir did the best out of the 3 at UIC, like, across the board. Like, Sebastian was on the winning in to get a Gardevoir into cut, and there was some Gardevoirs in top 32. And there's more Gardevoirs sprinkled out throughout the higher placings than the other 2. But I think it's the worst of the 3 decks overall. Maybe not for UIC specifically, but I think moving like, going to Vancouver, I like it the least out of the other 2, and I'd probably rate Lugia and Miraidon about the same. I actually think Lugia is lining up to be, like, a pretty good play for Vancouver, um, because of stuff like Golden Go and Archaludon being more popular. I think, like this is what I kinda said going into this format. Like, I think Lugia the way to build Lugia is just like a sliding scale of rats. You go from 0 Chinchino to 2 Chinchino, and I think we're going to the 2 Chinchino side of the scale as we go into Vancouver because of Golden Go, because of Archaludon being so popular. And I think Miraidon is gonna come down in play rate, and I think you have I think you're slightly favored against Cloth Serapagos, maybe solidly favored. Your Dragapult matchup, feels like it's about 50-50 with the Temple of Sinnoh involved, but some people aren't even playing Temple of Sinnoh, and I could see people cutting Temple of Sinnoh as well going into Vancouver because of Lugia's lack of success at UIC. And with I think Miraidon will come down and play as well. The only, I guess like new like the deck that could see it might see a little bit of a surge going to Vancouver could be Lost Box, but besides that, I think like Lugia is pretty well placed, and I think Miraidon is also decently placed as well. Because I expect Archidon to be like less popular. That was like the big one for like me personally. Now I will say this about Miraidon. I think if you're playing the Secret Box, I think there's a big difference between Prime Catcher Miraidon and Secret Box Miraidon. I think Secret Box Miraidon is probably like a tier 4 deck. I think Prime Catcher Miraidon is like a tier 2, tier 3 deck. I think there's a big difference between the 2 decks right now in terms of being able to compete against the big decks in the format, like Dragapult, like Guard4. So I think there's a pretty distinct difference in terms of how good each of them are. But I think if you're playing Prime Catcher Miraidon, I think the deck's pretty good as well going into the tournament. Gardevoir, I just don't. I feel like there's not enough upside for Gardevoir, but maybe Gardevoir just needs to like switch up how it's being played because I think one thing Gardevoir probably has to do. I think Drifloons and Braver Charms have to come back in bigger numbers to compete with the Golden Goes and like Archaludons and stuff like that. Like if you look at like Sebastian's list, even though he did make it to the win it in, like that list, I feel like is probably going to struggle against something like a Golden Go deck. To be honest, he had no Bravery Charm, no Drifloon, no Hero's Cape, no big one hit KO potential. So I feel
Yeah.
like that. And it's cool how Gardevoir has so many different sides to it. Like there's so many different ways to play the deck. I think the way Gardevoir decks have to be played right now probably has to shift a little bit, and I think we'll probably see. I don't even want to say like more success from it than UIC because it did fine at UIC. Gardevoir's such a good, powerful, versatile deck. Like uh, even if you're not playing some stuff like the Brave Charms, like the Drifloons, there's still so much that can do. I think there probably has to be a shift in how it's built moving into Vancouver. But yeah, I am liking Rada and Lugia right now. I think they're pretty good plays.
Do you think that Archaludon will be more popular than it maybe deserves to be? Obviously, had a good finish at EUIC, but I mean, it was like one of the most popular decks in day one in top four. The next highest one
Sure.
is outside of top 64, like really bad conversion rate,
Yeah.
really bad day two into even caching conversion rate. I mean, the deck just massively underperformed to its play rate. So, I mean, does that translate to it being more popular than it deserves to be? Like, should this be a lower meta share deck than it has been?
I think it's not going to be 12 again. And it's one of the decks I think I expect to perform pretty poorly at Vancouver because already your Dragapult matchup is closer than you'd want it to be. And now you have like Golden Go and Lost Box on the map. Whereas I feel like those decks weren't really on the map pre EUIC. And those are both pretty bad matchups for our Chaladon. So I think it'll probably be more popular than it should be, but I think it will come down from where it was at EUIC. Like, I think it should probably be like a 5% meta deck, but I think it'll probably still be around 8 or 9 probably at Vancouver. Not enough time for it to fully come down, but maybe I don't know, maybe things will be pretty shaken up, at Vancouver. 20% golden go. Look out.
You're really riding the golden go wave here, buddy.
I mean,
Uh,
it's a sick deck to be honest.
and last
Sure.
one, this is a deck that really kind of got put back on the map a little bit more since Puerto Rico, since some solid finishes at EUIC, and that is Lost Box. Is Lost Box just kind of actually good right now? There's no Reggie Drago in the format anymore, no Curums to really worry about too much.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is Lost Box good?
I've been saying this for a while, and I still have yet to test the matchup. I think Dragon Ball is favored against Lost Box based on 0 games, right? But my intuition in the game, from what I've heard from other players and talking to players, it seems like Lost Box is unfavored into Dragon Ball a decent amount, like 70-30 or 30-70. But if your testing leads you to believe that Lost Box is even 45, even 40-60 against Dragon Ball, to be honest, is probably good enough, then Lost Box is the best deck to play at Vancouver and maybe going forward for the rest of the major tournaments because you basically are favored against every other deck. Um, to my knowledge, without if we remove the Dragon Ball deck out of the equation, you're favored against literally everything else. And I've been saying this for a while. The question at that point just becomes, do you think you're favored against Dragon Ball? Or do you think you're even like 40-60 against Dragon Ball? Because if you think you're 40-60 against Dragon Ball, Lost Box is the play. I don't really have a true answer because I played 0 games of the matchup.
Let's see. Well, Hermione here. I don't know. Oh, he lost to Vinny playing Dragapult and
And
Joao. What did Joao play?
playing Dragon Ball. I was playing
Playing
the Vinny
Dragapult.
list, I believe, yeah.
So Hermione lost two there. Where the other Dragapult or lost boxes here? We've got Nathan Ginsburg at 52nd at a UIC.
We're doing some investigation here.
We got to see what they lost to. Lost to a
Joao.
Gardevoir,
So
tied two unknowns, and lost to Joao. Yep.
He'd beat one though. Jonathan, at the bottom there.
Yeah, and Victor.
Oh, beat 2 of them, okay.
And then what were there any other? I mean, Hermione, Nathan, and Grant are all obviously very good players. Grant didn't play against any Dragapults.
Yeah.
Marco here.
Might be a little bit of potential skill diff applied in some of the some of the games as well, for sure.
Marco did lose to a Dragapult early, but beat another one, beat a Dragapult Charizard. The
Dragon Ball Charizard
data
is definitely a little bit different as well
the
because
data
they
is
don't have the
not
Death Stars.
looking the best, I would say, for Lost Box versus Dragapult at the moment.
Yeah, so that's like the big question mark I have for Lost Box. But like I said, like if you think you're like they said, even if you're 46 against Dragon Ball, you should be playing Lost Box at Vancouver. If you think you can at least get that win percentage. If it's worse than that, then I don't know. There's gonna be a lot of Dragon Balls. There's gonna be a lot of good players playing Dragon Ball. I can't think of a reason to play a deck that has that unfavorable of a matchup against Dragon Ball if you're trying to win the tournament. But um, you're trying to let matchup roulette guide your outcome, and you
Is
think you're
Grant
unfavored against Dragon Ball, then
was Grant the only one of them that had Regigigas in their deck?
no. The Lost Box I played against had Regigigas. I think you literally pulled up one of the lists that you pulled up had Regigigas.
Neither Nathan or Hermione had it though.
Mm. One of the ones I played against,
This guy had it.
there we go. Marco had it. Yeah, and then
This one
Vinny
doesn't have
didn't, yeah.
Pikachu though.
No, alright, no Pikachu is crazy. What?
Yeah,
That's the best attacker in the deck. That's how you win all your matchups. What? No Pikachu is kinda wild.
you
I don't know
definitely
about
just
that.
you have to get stomped by like Archaludon if you don't
Yeah, I
play
don't know how you
Pikachu.
beat our Chaladon. I know double Sableye as well, but no Pikachu.
Yeah.
Not approved.
Yeah, but I could see the Regigigas being something that most people aren't playing or that weren't playing. Like I don't think Hedrick was playing it. Like
They'll be
do you
playing it moving forward for sure. I think everyone's gonna
yeah.
have
I
Gigas.
I feel like it's gotta
Unless you feel like the Dragon Ball matchup is literally just terrible, and then you're like, "It's a terrible matchup. Why would I tech for this matchup? Like, I'm just gonna play the deck to beat everything else and just hopefully dodge Dragapult or like Donkum or something. You know,
yeah.
cheese them." Which is honestly it's a fine way to approach it, but I don't think your expected outcome is very high consistently.
Oh,
Uh, if you think the Dragon Ball matchup is bad, but like I said, 0 games, just kind of all intuition from me on how I feel about the matchup, and some discussion with some other players. So do what you will with that.
well, let's make some predictions for the tournament this weekend. First one
We could
up.
do tournaments. We can definitely combine some of these.
Sure. So for the regionals, both in Canada and in Brazil this weekend, which version of Dragapult will finish higher, Dusknor or no Dusknor?
Yeah. So we're
S-
doing Dustnor versus the field in this one.
Yeah,
So Charizard, the Fernandez build, the Tord build are all lumped into one group versus Dustnor. And even though I am a bigger fan of the no Dustnor build, just because it looks cooler and I like the idea of it more, I'm gonna go with Dustnor being the higher finishing of the Dragapult builds. So it's gonna definitely be way more played.
it is going to be more played, but I think that a lot of the better players who choose to play a deck like this will lean into having something like the Monkey Dory for the mirror. So I'm going to give the edge to the no Dusknor for this one.
All right, sounds good. One interesting thing, and then potentially first time since its print was for our next prediction. There was no Prime Catcher in top 8 of UIC.
Yeah, that would be an interesting thing to go back and fact check. How
Yeah,
many prime catcher have how many times has prime catcher not been in top cut of a major? It can't have happened very often if it's
I
ever
think it's
happened.
yeah, I think this is probably the first time. So our next prediction is what is Prime Catcher's highest placement? Picking a number placement. We'll see who gets closer across both tournaments. What do you
I
think,
mean,
Chip?
what the thing is what deck even plays prime catcher right now?
Honestly, all right, Maridon,
And
Lost
Lost
Box,
Box
Reggie Drago. Oh gosh, that's actually pretty sick though. Like that the A spec pool or what is actually played at terms is so versatile.
does gouging fire? No, they play secret
Secret
box.
box.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see.
What about aggro? What if an aggro Guardy deck wins? Prime. We haven't seen Prime Catcher Guardy yet. We've seen a lot of A specs in Gardevoir. We haven't seen a
It's
Prime
true.
Catcher yet.
All right, Henry Chow, go get him, buddy.
Yeah, Henry's been waiting on the new way to play Gardevoir. You just had
Dude,
to be
I
you had to just
still
draw prize cards faster. It's Candy Gardevoir with Prime Catcher.
every time I look over at you, I think and you're laughing, I think you're fake laughing at me. Every single time. I'm like, "Oh, he's just pity laughing right now."
No, I
Yeah, so
just
I mean,
can't
I guess
open my
this
mouth very wide.
prediction is just like, who do you think the highest placing or where do you think the highest placing Miraidon slash Lost Box will be? And the
Yeah.
thing is as well, like not all like what percentage of Miraidons even have Prime Catcher?
It's probably less than 50% right now. Although I urge you, if you want to like have a favorable Dragapult matchup, you need to be playing Prime Catcher. Like, um, the secret box is really sick in there, but it's just yeah, the Prime Catcher is just so much better right now. I feel like
I think I'm gonna go for this one with a 12th place finish.
across both tournaments, the highest placing Prime Catcher will be 12.
Yep, none in top 8 again, but it could be top cut, asymmetrical.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with second place for a Prime
Oh,
Catcher.
interesting. What makes you say this?
Good card. Rodon, it's a good deck. Lost Block is questionably a good deck, but if they get lucky, don't hit a
Why
Dragapult to the
second
finals.
place?
What should I say first?
Well, I mean, it's just such a narrow difference, first and second, you know?
But second covers third and first. If we're doing whoever gets it closer.
Oh, sure,
So
sure.
picking first
Closest
when
to
it
the
make
pin.
yeah,
Well, I mean,
closest
I
to the
guess the
pin.
thing would be you could just literally pick 11th.
Oh, true. I guess
No, but
that's a bad
I've
way
already
to
locked it in. I typed it. You picked second.
I could pick 11th. Then I
Anyway,
cover the whole top
s-
half. You'd cover the whole. I didn't really think about it too hard that way, to be honest. All right, second, you're locked in 11th.
so last one here. This one is just for Vancouver.
Well, no, we could predict it for, but it's
This one is
unlikely.
this one is just for Vancouver. And this I apologize to any Canadian listener. This is all Azul, this artificial beef between Azul and Canada.
It is actually
Uh,
pretty funny. Me and I sat next to Caitlin um,
mhm.
during I don't know, it's like second to last round or something like that. Uh, Second to last round or something like that of day two, and we had a little bit of banter back and forth, some U.S. versus Canada banter, so that was fun. Yeah, I always like making fun of Canadians whenever we get the opportunity. Yeah, last one's gonna be one of my favorites, which will be how many Canadians in top cut at the second and final Canadian regional of the season. We can count the regional in Brazil in this. However, I doubt any Canadians are going to Brazil. Honestly, though, what if they missed registration for Vancouver but made it into?
I think you could still register for Vancouver.
Oh, can you?
Let me see.
No cap?
Maybe. I don't think Vancouver ever caps.
I feel like it
It's
capped
always
the
it's
Broken
always the
Lugia year.
smallest one on the circuit for the North American circuit.
It is true. It's the most out of the way.
Okay, it is sold out right now.
Ooh, okay, so it is capped. So maybe that'd be the only reason probably a Canadian player would go to the regional in Brazil this weekend would be they
I think
weren't
it's a
able to
pretty
register.
slim list of players who would first off miss registration, second off by missing registration, then choose to pay to go to Brazil to still
Yeah,
be able to play in a regionals. So
definitely.
yeah, this is just looking at Toronto regionals here. We had one, two, three Canadians, four in top cut because it was an asymmetrical cut. And then at Vancouver last year, we only had three Canadians in top cuts. It does look like was that right? Wait, we lost one. Toronto.
Lost a Canadian?
No, the last 2 Canadian regionals did have in the finals an American player beating a Canadian player, so that is worth
Classic.
noting. What do you think, Azul? How
And
many
I'm running
Canadians in Top Cut?
give me 1 second, I'm just gonna run some numbers real quickly.
I'm gonna give them 4.
Jeez, that's a lot of Canadians.
Yeah, it's gonna be asymmetrical,
Okay, yeah, so I
11,
think
12 people.
so I agree. I'll give them 3 with a probably it looks like a 10 person top cut is what it's looking like right now. I just ran the numbers on the limitless calculator real fast to put it together. Yeah, I'll give them 3. You can have 3.
What's the highest placing one?
Top 4.
Top 4.
No, it'll be America. Actually, honestly, it'll be America versus Europe finals.
Dude, who from
Um,
Europe is going to Vancouver?
okay, it'll be America versus Brent Tonneson finals. 'Cause I'm pretty sure he's going
Brent
to Vancouver.
Tonneson will definitely be there.
Yeah, so it'll be America beating Brent Tonneson in the finals of the second Canadian regionals of the year.
Sheesh. Maybe Australia will get their dub someday.
Not
Gotta
today or not
gotta
this
go back
weekend.
to 2019 for Australia to get their worldwide dub. All right. Well, I think that is going to do it for this week's episode. We do have our bonus episode coming up here in just a minute, but before we get over there, Azul, do you got have anything else you want to say to our listeners?
Nope, nope. Send us out of here, Chip.
Yeah, thanks a bunch to everyone for listening. As always, if you did enjoy the podcast, be sure to leave us a like, review, rating, comment, subscribe. All those things help us out a ton and help more people to discover what we're doing here on the podcast. And if you want to stay up to date with us, the best place to do it is over on X. You can follow myself at Chip Ritchie, Azul at Azul_GG. You can follow the podcast at Uncommon_Energy.
Appreciate the support as always. Good luck to everyone playing in either of the majors this weekend, unless you're Canadian. And we'll catch you all next Wednesday at 7 a.m. Eastern.